That Seahawks and Cardinals game, huh? Did you see that finish?
It was a nail-biter for sure.
Kobe Bryant really turned the tide with that interception and touchdown.
For sure. Game changer.
His celebration, though, I feel like I've seen that before.
Reminded me of a certain Seattle running back known for his power and those memorable celebrations.
Marshawn Lynch. The Beast Quake.
That's the one.
Could you remind me about that play?
It was back in 2010, the NFC wildcard game, Seahawks against the Saints. Lynch breaks free for a 67-yard touchdown run, just shaking off defenders left and right.
Incredible run. And the celebration.
Just as memorable. Grabbing his crotch, got the crowd fired up, but also a hefty fine from the NFL.
Makes you wonder, did Lynch ever do that celebration again?
He did. 2014, against the Cardinals, actually. Another impressive run, this time a 79-yard touchdown, followed by a similar celebration. Another fine from the NFL.
So the NFL doesn't take too kindly to those kinds of celebrations.
Not really. They've got a whole book of rules about unsportsmanlike conduct, and that includes any gestures they consider obscene or offensive.
What about Bryant's fine for his celebration? How much was it?
$6,594.
That's a chunk of change. I remember Lynch's fine back in 2014 was even higher, wasn't it?
It was $11,050 for that second Beast Quake celebration.
That's a significant difference. I wonder if the NFL takes inflation into account when they're figuring out those fines, or if their policies have changed over time.
Could be a number of factors at play.
Like what? What else might influence those fine amounts?
The specifics of the incident, the player's past conduct, even their perceived intent. All of that can play a role in how the NFL decides on the severity of the fine.
Makes sense. What do you think about Bryant's celebrations sparking all this talk about Lynch's legacy?
Shows the impact iconic players and moments have on the sport. It's fascinating how a single gesture can trigger these kinds of discussions.
It really underscores how those moments stick with fans years later.
It also makes you think about where we draw the line between a tribute and something inappropriate.
Definitely a complicated issue.
We can delve into that a bit more in our next segment. Bryant was clearly trying to pay homage to Lynch, but he inadvertently sparked a whole conversation about what's considered acceptable when it comes to celebrating in the NFL. What are your thoughts on that?
It's remarkable how one gesture can ignite such a debate. It really makes you think about how celebrations have evolved in the league and what's driving that change. What factors have you noticed?
The influence of hip-hop culture has been huge. It's always been about individuality and expressing yourself, and now we're seeing that reflected in how athletes celebrate.
Have you noticed any other influences?
Absolutely. The rise of social media has amplified these celebrations in a way we've never seen before.
What impact do you think social media has had on these celebrations?
It gives athletes a platform to showcase their personalities to a global audience, but it also opens them up to a whole new level of scrutiny. Every celebration is instantly analyzed and dissected.
What are your views on that?
It's a tough situation for athletes. They want to be genuine and connect with fans, but they also have to be mindful of the potential consequences.
So they're trying to strike a balance between expressing themselves and avoiding backlash.
Exactly. Finding that balance is a challenge. It requires a lot of awareness and careful consideration of how their actions might be perceived.
It seems like the NFL felt the need to draw a line with Bryant's fine. But what do you think that signifies?
I think it shows that the league is still grappling with how to approach celebrations that push the boundaries.
Are you surprised by that?
Not really. The NFL is constantly evolving, just like society. They're trying to find a middle ground between letting players be themselves and maintaining some level of decorum on the field.
Do you think this situation has changed your perspective on these issues at all?
It definitely highlights the need for ongoing conversation and reflection about celebrations in sports. We need to ask ourselves what's truly appropriate and why.
We should encourage those conversations, right?
Absolutely. Open and respectful dialogue is crucial even when people have different viewpoints. It's about understanding and respecting different perspectives.
What do you think are some important things to consider in those conversations?
Well, we need to remember that sports culture is always evolving. What was considered out of line a few years ago might be completely acceptable today. We need to be aware of those changing dynamics.
What else? What other insights have you gained from this situation?
It underscores the fact that sports are multifaceted and intersect with so many aspects of our lives, which inevitably leads to a range of opinions and interpretations.
It's clear that this situation with Bryant and the discussion it sparked goes beyond just celebrations. It really highlights how sports reflect our values and cultural norms.
Sports offer a unique platform for us to examine those values and have those conversations about who we are and what we stand for. It's interesting how something as simple as a celebration can trigger such complex discussions.
What key themes did you pick up on in this conversation?
Themes of respect, legacy, and the evolving nature of what's acceptable, especially within a structured environment like the NFL.
How do you see those themes extending beyond the realm of sports?
These themes resonate with broader societal conversations. As our values change and evolve, we're constantly navigating the balance between individual expression and what's expected of us collectively. It's happening everywhere, not just in sports.
In what ways do you think sports can contribute to those broader conversations?
Sports act as a microcosm of society. They provide a space to explore important social issues, challenge assumptions, and ultimately promote greater understanding.
What other roles do you see sports playing in this regard?
They can be powerful catalysts for social change and progress. They can advocate for inclusivity, confront discrimination, and inspire people to work towards a more just and equitable world.
What are your final thoughts on the potential for sports to drive social change?
Sports have this incredible ability to bring people from all walks of life together. They can foster a sense of community, inspire hope, and ultimately create positive change.
What final message would you leave our listener with today?
Sports are a reflection of ourselves. They give us a chance to examine our values, challenge our perspectives, and work towards building a more inclusive and just world, both in the arena and beyond.
Goodbye, and see you in the next video.
Goodbye.